Hi, and welcome to Auntie K's. I'm going to do a walkthrough of the Landback Tarot and the Oracle of Colonization, this is the prototype deck that I created. It's a super deck, a 78 card or tarot deck plus 25 card oracle deck. They are 3.5 by 5, so typical oracle card sized, and they're on a linen finish, and I'm really proud to share them with you. And this is like my third or fourth try to make the video I really want to make as the main walkthrough. It's a lot of pressure. So here it is. I talked on the other shorter video about my decisions with the deck and the guidebook and the box, so I won't get into that. So I'm really pleased with these backs. What I'm going to do is talk about a few of the cards individually, and then I'm going to pause this and set up to just go through each card, and because in my walkthroughs, I often talk about the deck as I go through it, but being that this is my own deck, I have a million things to say, and that's just too long. Okay, so this is the Landback Tarot and the Oracle of Colonization, and I'm going to start with just talking about a few cards at a time. And so in the majors, the cards I'm going to talk about are the Devil, the Tower, and the Shooting Star, and my choices for those and what I had to say about them. I have the proofs on this laptop here of the guidebook right now, and I'm going to see how much I can actually show that to you, but I'm also going to read from it from the few cards that I pick out. The Devil. The only real devil in this world is evil men carrying forth messages of hate, destruction, and oppression. These men and their messages have left us chained and suffering for far too long. Throw off these chains of self-hate, despair, worthlessness. Embrace all of who you are. End these cycles of oppression. Strangle patriarchy, heteronormativity, body and sex shaming once and for all, so they no longer breathe life. Reverse, you've internalized self-hate such as racism from others. Energy, Capricorn. This card is inspired by the greatest devil in every indigenous community, residential school. I showed an indigenous person strangling a priest as they ran these schools for the state. Google residential schools for numerous books, movies, and documentaries by indigenous people. And some of the cards direct you to my website, which I will link here, which has guidebook links where you can link to videos and further information on certain cards. And I really wanted to do a card with a priest being strangled. I really wanted to do it, but I didn't want to do it if it didn't make sense. And it made sense when I got to this card. Okay, so 16, the Tower. So for 16, the Tower, I'll try and show you what one of these pages looks like. For cards that are in focus, the page in the book looks different than the cards, and you'll see one of those later. So you have like some writing about it here, and then you have like a picture of the card down at the bottom half of the page. And it says, 16, Tower. As the tower of colonialism falls, the much anticipated destruction will burn many in its flames. This is often the price of real change. The truth is, we were already being burned. In this card, the tower, which symbolizes structures and systems in tarot, is made of the 3 flags colonizing Turtle Island, North America. These are Mexico, United States, and Canada. As it burns, the economy, green money, falls too. The structures that we depend on are the structures holding us back. Reverse, you sit in the master's house and ask him to keep you safe, but change never comes from the house of your oppressors. Energy, Mars. And 17, the shooting star, that says, the first light of hope after the fall of colonialism, still burning in the distance. Although the night is still dark, you have come through the worst. Take hope with the gentle light of the shooting star. This is hope sent from your ancestors. Cherish this hope. Reverse, you are closing your eyes to hope. Energy, Aquarius. And so those were the three major arcana cards I chose to highlight in this video. And it really was difficult to choose which cards I was going to highlight in this. So for the suit of wands, it is the suit of arrows in the land back tarot. And the cards that I want to highlight here is, or the card, and just coming up to it on the computer, is the Six of Arrows, recognition. Six of Arrows, recognition, 1492 Landback Lane, aka Invasion of Six Nations. Every war has many battles, and you will lose a few. Set fire to the oppressor's advances and claim every victory possible. Recognize that victory is of your own making and claim yours for your people and your fellow warriors captured in this battle. Reverse, you have let small losses become big defeats. Energy, Jupiter and Leo, days 8 August 3rd to August 12th. This card is from a picture that just might become as famous as the one before it. The one before it is from the Oka Crisis. This photo was taken from 1492 Landback Lane, an ongoing landback action at Six Nations during 2020 into 2021. My daughter's been in this. Caledonia decided they needed a new subdivision. In true colonial fashion, they've chosen sacred Mohawk land for this. After a day of arrests and cops gaining ground, this group of young adult warriors took back the ground taken by the cops earlier that day. Rama Anishinaabe is one of the warriors featured in the photo. And then you go to the guidebook links, and there's a link to 1492 Landback Lane where you can learn more about 1492 Landback Lane and help support them. All right, and so in the cups, we are going to look at card number 4 up close. And so the image is fairly traditional, except for the fact that the slight change being that we are recognizing this filled cup in this picture. And so in this deck, it's important to see things from an Indigenous perspective. And there's a lot of hard subject matter to deal with. And sometimes you need to look at it from a more productive point of view. And so the Four of Cups, reevaluate. When we just find a moment to breathe, to sit and take in the air, we finally see the water cleansed in a copper pot. This is the moment of self-worth that rejuvenates us. Take a moment to reassess and find your self-worth. See what's in front of you. Reverse, you are seeing things through your pain right now. Energy, Moon in Cancer, days July 13th to July 22nd. And so we see our person here, and they've got some, twisted teas, cans down here, and they've recognized this copper pot, and they're reaching for it. And it's not easy. It's not easy to reach for it as it's floating by in the water. And it's not easy to reach for it when you're in these low states. So this is what I chose for this imagery here. And I wanted to find a way to get across the same message, which I believe I did, but in a way that could be more productive for when we're in those really low moments where we might really, really be struggling. Okay, so the next suit that comes up is the weapons, which would be swords, and the card I want to highlight here is the Five of Weapons. I so enjoyed making this Five of Weapons cards. The license plates on the cop cars say pigs, and we've got a donut box from Timmy's, as well as some Timmy's coffee cups, and our person is making off with a bundle of weapons. They're making off with a bundle of weapons. And so the description for this, just taking a moment to scroll down. Five of Weapons, renewed. When your oppressors are at an advantage, it's time to level the playing field. In these battles, we need every weapon available. This is a time to compromise with the world and take agency for yourself. Their morals were designed to keep you at this disadvantage in the first place. Reversed missed opportunities will lead to loss in these battles. Energy, Venus in Aquarius, days January 2nd to January 22nd. And I just enjoyed making this card. So sometimes with these images, while some of the images are recreations of actual events in our Indigenous lives, ones like this were really fun to make, and I really enjoyed it. Okay, so the next card we are going to look at is in the suit of drums. Actually, we're going to do two things. We're going to look at two cards in the suit of drums. We're going to look at the Two of Drums. This is my friend Jess, and so real people in this deck have a page that shows both them on the card, like the full color card picture, and also a black and white photo of the actual person. And so here we have the card, and here we have Jess, and it talks about her cleanup with her community in cleaning up oil tanker spills on oil tankers they didn't want in their waters anyways. And if you go to the link on my page, and I'm just going to do that here, you go to guidebook links and you scroll down to the the Two of Drums, and so you scroll down to the Two of Drums on here and you click on it, and it takes you to the Heel Suck Step Up for Coast Heroes, where you can donate to their legal fund to try and get the colonial state of Canada to pay for their own ocean tanker spill costs from the Heel Suck cleaning it up. And so these are the links that you get in the guidebook. You know what? I was going to do 8, but I'm going to do this and then maybe also 8. So Two of Drums coming together. The environmental destruction and cleanup of Heel Suck lands. Coming together is a partnership of balance between ego and abilities, life and death, nature and colonialism. Work and emotions must be balanced to stop the pollution and bring these ships home in good relationship. Reverse, you're dropping your responsibilities and are out of balance. Energy, Jupiter and Capricorn, days December 21st to December 30th. This picture was also inspired by a friend, Jess Heelsuck of Bella Bella. Jess is an indigenous parent from so-called BC. Of the many things she does for her people, one is responding to oil tanker spills in their traditional waters of the West Coast. This is drawn from a collaboration of photos taken during one such rescue and cleanup effort containing the spill and towing out of the damaged ship. You can learn about the cleanup of the Nathan E. Phillips by Jess and the Heelsuck and donate to the legal fund, and then directs you to the link on my page. And so that's what the cards are like when they refer to actual people and actual event, or what the page is. And Eight of Drums was the card I was going to talk about, because this is just one of my favorite cards, and so I wanted to show it. And so in the Eight of Drums, this is where we talk, and drums would be pentacles, where we talk about, that mastery of your craft. Eight of Drums, hope. Even as a child, you learned that what you hoped for would take hard work, and if you loved the work, it would feel almost like playing, filling your spirit with the security of believing in your accomplishments, knowing your hard work has paid off. You've committed to a lifetime of mastering this with passion. Reverse, you're struggling to see your own progress. Energy, Sun in Virgo, days August 23rd to September 2nd. And so these children are practicing and learning to become drummers and singers on the big drum. And we see like the edge of a driveway and a car tire and a knapsack and a big drum bundled up here in this blanket. And so these children know that this is something that takes a lifetime to master, because they're seeing it in their family, and they are practicing of their own free will out of their desire to have this passion and fulfill it also. Okay, and then there is the Oracle deck. And I was just going to talk about a few of these cards a little bit differently. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the art in these particular cards. So they were a combination of things. The background of every card in the Oracle deck is a scanned piece of birch. So card 1 triggered, and the Oracle of Colonization is also a shadow arcana, so it follows the major arcana. So this is a watercolor painting on birch, and that's a pink layer of birch, and it's a watercolor painting on it that I scanned, and then I added the snowflakes digitally, and the gun being fired is digital. And then 4, we have the scanned birch bark, which you can see a bit in the background. And then I took a photo of a partner of mine who's passed, and I cut it out, and I digitized it, and I placed it on, and then I drew, a shirt and tie digitally. And then 10, I'm totally messing up the order. That's really not a super wise thing to do. Sorry. Okay, so 10 is a watercolor painting on birch bark, and you can see like, these lines here are the texture of the birch. It's a watercolor painting on birch, and then I put it through filters digitally. Yeah. And then 17 is the birch was scanned and then put through a digital filter. And then I drew, and then I did all the art on top of the digitally scanned and altered birch background. And I just, drew on top of it and to create this image. 19 and 20, they are, okay, so they're both models that I photographed. So in 19, I had broken pieces of mirror, and I had a blue candle, and I had pieces of birch bark reflecting into the mirror and the blue candle in front, and I photographed that and put it through digital processes, and then I had a scanned piece of birch that I also put through a digital filter, and then I collaged those together, and then I took a picture of a pink candle and cut it out and collaged it on top. And with this one, I made a little model birch teepee, and I photographed it and cut it out, and I made the stick part out of toothpicks. They were ill proportioned to each other, so they were photographed separately and then reproportioned, and then the background is birch that's scanned, and then I did some digital art on top. And so that is the Oracle deck. And what I am going to do next, I thought I had a pause feature on here, but since I'm not seeing it, we are just going to go through a flip through like this. So at the in the guidebook, at the beginning of each suit, there is a page that it gives you a short description of that suit, with a small sentence for each card. And so I'm going to read that as I flip through these in hope that this plan works out as well as I envision it working out. We'll see how the scrolling and all that keeps up, because it's a 168 page guidebook, so it's a pretty large PDF that the computer is reloading to. Okay, here we go. So, Major Arcana, Spirit. The Major Arcana is the element of spirit, and is a journey your spirit takes from the moment you step into the unknown with the Fool, 0. From there, the spirit journey takes you through 3 stages. 1 to 8 is the elemental journey, where you use the tools before you, reach out into the divine, prepare the future, build on the past, choose who to listen to, decide with your heart, and own your willpower. This one here is my daughter. The second stage is spiritual, 8 through 14. This is where you find your inner strength, leading to your inner truth, the understanding of as above, so below, fight for what's just, prepare your next move, let go and rebirth, find balance and resolve. This image is about birth alerts as part of the ongoing 60s to millennial scoop. The final leg of the Fool's journey is the cosmic stage, 15 to 20. This is a journey beyond your control as you face and destroy chains, survive falling systems, look to the stars, moon, and sun for guidance. Stand up for judgment and find your place on the earth. And we have Kea, or Turtle Island, and Abayala, which colonized people call North and South America. Okay, and so I'm going to scroll on down, which I'm getting used to being backwards on a computer, and we will go through the arrows in exactly the same way. Okay. Arrows, wands, fire. So the book does put the traditional names in brackets whenever they are changed. Arrows, wand, fire. Arrows embody the element of fire. Arrows are action. This is where we act upon our decisions in response to our emotions on behalf of our needs. So we see how it ties into the other suits. When I think of arrows, I think of our tricksters. They understand how much it takes for us humans to learn to act. Action requires passion, it requires leaping, and it requires a firm foundation learned through hard lessons. Ace, when opportunity presents itself, when we release the trigger, when we see the whole landscape of our path, when we celebrate by living, when we defend lives, when we take victory, when we face the steps required to take action, when our actions are on target, when we face the responsibilities of our actions, when we take the long path to bring the rewards home to our people, we bring the energy, we ignite the passion, we gift others the ability to act, and we prepare to continue beyond ourselves. And so that is the suit of arrows, and up next is the suit of cups. I can't tell you how happy I was that I had labeled the files correctly so that they would be printed and placed in the boxes in the correct order. I was so pleased to figure it out. Okay, cups, water. Cups are our personal and collective experience of the water element via our emotions, full, empty, flowing, and filling. Cups fuel our actions, drive our thoughts, and insist we find connection. Water is tied to the moon, who gave life via her connection to earth and waters. They formed a sisterhood that would give life. When we drink waters and fill cups, when we bring together love, when we recreate the sisterhood, when we reach to be filled, when we acknowledge the root of our suffering, when we reach back to imagine greater futures, when we look for our wishes, when we set off for hope, when we create our own security, when enthusiasm takes over, we sacrifice our hearts, we walk in love, we look after needs, and we pass love on to the future. So my court cards are Scout, and in the book it lays that out, Warriors, Uncles, and Aunties. And I put the Aunties last, which relate to the Queens in traditional tarot, because I believe that the emotional completion of each suit is the full completion of the suit. So, and matriarchal societies is what I'm from. So there's also that aspect of it also, which was important. And my auntie on here is grandmother Josephine the Water Walker. Okay, the Ace of Weapons. I'm really thrilled with the art on so many of these cards, and this is one of them. The weapons suit was one that I found it Anyway, weapons, swords, air. Weapons represent the element of air, the intellect, or the mind. This is where we make the decisions of our actions, where we analyze our emotions, where we understand our connection to the earth. Weapons also show our pain and our healing. Weapons are akin to Chiron, the wounded healer. We will always face injury, and sometimes those injuries are lifelong. But like Chiron, it is in these injuries that we find our healing medicine within us. When the pain bursts forth, when we connect in complete intuition, when the swords have been piling on for over 600 years, when we choose to connect to wisdom during chaos, when we secure our needs to defend lives, when we survive so we can continue, when we face betrayal, when we take freedom, and she's picking the lock with a hairpin, when we face defeat, when existence is resistance. Nope. When existence is resistance, we learn and share learning. We bring laughter. We speak up without holding back. We cut out a new world done with the pain of our people. Okay, the weapon suit makes me cry a little bit. Okay. And then we are going to get into the drums. Drums, pentacles, earth. This suit's beautiful in a different way than the weapons. The element of earth is symbolized by the drum. Drums connect us to the heartbeat of the earth, where we act with meaning, connect to others, and ground our ideas and beliefs. Drums remind us that our needs and desires all come from the earth and her other beings. The drum is our connection to the heartbeat of the earth, a reminder that she and all other beings are as alive as we. We feel this connection and our responsibility, I'm an indigenous, so that's an important thing. When we first hear the heartbeat, when we bring balance to destruction, when we work as a team, when we lose connection, when we rise above our oppressors, when we value the next generation, when we start from the beginning, when we work towards our future, when we value our own needs, when we bring comfort to others, we sing love to lift hearts, we build dreams of family, we are responsible to our community, we heal the hearts of men. And so I finished off the Landback Tarot with, a person who is wearing a Landback shirt. And that's a little touch that was personal to me that I, wanted to add in there. And then next, after that, is the Oracle of Colonization. The Oracle of Colonization can be used as an oracle separate or shuffled into the Landback Tarot. This oracle is also a shadow arcana and can be used shuffled into the Landback Tarot with or without the major arcana. So you could use it in place of the major arcana in there. You could use it as an extra arcana in with the typical one, or you can use it as a separate oracle, however you want. The descriptions with these are shorter, and so I am going to read it. It comes with a shadow spread. In the first part of the book, there are several tarot spreads, and then before we get to the shadow arcana, there is a shadow spread to go with it. 0, entitlement. Entitlement is the greedy boogie of the forest, a cannibal-like creature who's after the souls of humans. Entitlement is disguised as human nature, but indeed there is nothing natural about entitlement. It is nurtured and fed. The journey isn't about you. Triggered. Triggered is the echo of trauma chasing you down like prey in the future. You can't see it until it's upon you, but you sensed its approach and fired. You've got this. Privilege. Privilege is so centered on their own needs as human god, goddess, that the consideration that all should not serve them first is seen as insult and threat alike. Privilege chooses blindness for it serves them. Serve others. And so the last sentence is where I really help to tie it into the major arcana. Soul wound. This is the wounds that reverberate throughout generations. These are the wounds which never heal fully. Healing feels painful to the soul wound, as the wound is aggravated every time it is tended. Healing is lifelong. Appeasing. Appeasing is the easy route to survival. All the trappings of comfort so long as you don't choke. All injuries suffered in silence, denying their existence. Break the rules. I chose him because he breaks the rules. Or broke the rules in his day. Polite. Polite is the voice that commands our behaviors and expressions, forbids any raising of boundaries or physical defense. Polite is a Karen, and she's protected by the patriarchy. Speak out. 6. Righteous rage. Righteous rage has finally had enough. Righteous rage has come to understand that it is love that lights the fires and passion and rewards and renewed hope, and that it is love that lights the fires of passion and renewed hope, and this time, no one's stopping them. This is love. 7. Ugly cry. Ugly cry has fought back, back up 1,000 times before, just like they do now. Ugly cry turns on the hottest shower, pumps up the music of rebellion, and cries it all out to start again the next day. Let this guide you. 8. Resting bitch face. Resting bitch face meets the world with all their shields up. Nothing is cracking this tough exterior. RBF knows this next battle takes serene fed-upness. You are indomitable. 9. Entangled. Entangled is a snake who always makes themselves sound like the only option for survival. Do not be fooled by their logic and professed knowledges. Trust the truth you know. The snake wants the mouse for lunch. Trust your knowledge within. 10. Red path. This is not the path that appears easy, but in the end you will find it the surest path to take. This path has been proven through many cycles stretching back throughout time. Give thanks. Rise up. 11. Rise Up has been waiting for the next generation to bring change for a few generations now. Rise Up finally realizes they are the next generation they've been waiting for. They are sending out calls for action and hammering cracks in the concrete. Create justice. Know your enemy. Neocolonialism and neoliberalism have been going door to door bringing their good news to those searching for solutions. Know your enemy, however, will not be fooled. They researched history to recognize a wolf in sheep's clothing. Find another way. 13. House of Oppression. This is the house oppression built. It looks inviting, cozy, and parental in order to draw you in. It understands it offers you a place to try out your ideas under their guardianship. This is a house of oppression, though, and that's the truth behind its doors. Death lives here. Land of Ancestors. This is one of my favorite cards visually. The land of ancestors is the lands of the West where the sun sets and veils drop, lay ancestral echoes beyond time. If you're not afraid of your own death, you may travel between worlds and walk new possibilities. Seek your ancestors in dreams and meditation. 15. Systemic. Systemic has peacefully resolved any issue or of complaint or possibility of change. It has centered its death sentences as unshakable truths. Systemic is a constant, gentle hum of everything moving in predictable, constant progress because the system ensures it. The devil is in the details. 16. Internalized. Internalized believed if they tried hard enough, they'd succeed. Yet no matter how well they did, they were still judged as inferior by birth. So they took the only road colonization offered to success. Tribal police. Eventually, internalized wore it with pride. The system isn't truly supporting you. 17. Lateral. Lateral is dating internalized, and they watch the news a lot. Lateral wishes other BIPOC folks understood how much trouble they were causing for Lateral. Lateral blames those most like themselves. Leave these shadows for the systems of hope. A lot of us know about lateral and violence within our own people, but I think it's important to remember that black folks are lateral to us in this situation in colonialism. They are other side of the seesaw. And so violence between black and indigenous people is also lateral. 18. Sexualized. And it's spelt that, sexualized, because it's a freaking lie. Sexualized was violated, mutilated, and left on the highway for dead by a stranger who called themselves love, beauty, and righteousness. This deception has rocked sexualized's understanding of truth. They will slowly heal with the guidance of their ancestors. The crone will protect you now. It's actually a photo of me with some bloody deer antlers for vengeance. 19. Identity and gender. Identity and gender have been cut off, locked in the broom closet, and generally discounted. This, however, was a mistake. For identity and gender have sacred ties to the ancestors and know how to make a comeback. You be you. 20. Whole self. Whole self is done being divided into multiple identities by society. Whole self will no longer be told they must choose but one colonized identity. Whole self accepts their entire identity and will fight anyone who divides them again. Rise above judgment. Often, mixed race folks, I'm mixed race with white, so it's different, but mixed race folks like my oldest daughter and other friends and family that I have, when they're mixed with, black or Arab or Asian, people want them to choose, as if you can only be mixed with white. And it becomes really, really difficult for people to express both identities when society says you can only express a second identity if that second identity is colonized and white. And one of my daughter's friends, who has the same name as my daughter, they both have names from their other culture, is a hijabi native, so we have, a mixed race indigenous person who is in their hijab and who is in the ribbon skirt, and here where they are able to fully embrace that, regardless of society, and society is really brutal on this. Healing. Healing offers us a journey into the lodge of the unknown. The results aren't guaranteed. It's probably going to hurt, but the warmth and possibilities are going to be endless. This is the doorway you've been looking for. Transform. 0. Spirit. And for those of you who recognize this doorway, there you go. And now you know. It doesn't last. This is in between cycles, between journeys, between lives. We're just humans, but we're supposed to strive for this awareness. Shall we journey again? This card is 0, but it's still the 23rd Oracle card. I can't count. I've been saying 25 oracles. There's 23, I'm sorry. 23rd Oracle card, just the same. 5, the charlatan, polite, the hierophant. All are corrupted human versions of spirit. Spirit is natural. It isn't systems, structures, and institutions, nor does it serve these. And if the Kickstarter campaign meets a stretch goal, this deck is going to get silver gilding, and this section in the guidebook called Just Because, where I include a mini graphic novel of some protest art that I did from a protest turned riot that I attended, where we actually successfully forced the police to let a trans person go. And so successful Kickstarter campaign means that the Landback Tarot 78 card tarot deck and 23 card Oracle deck will also have silver gilt edging, and hopefully include this little extra for everybody, which is a tale of a protest from 2020. It's a mini graphic novel. It's fictionalized where the activists are superheroes, and one of the people featured in it is an ex and really good friend of mine, and I wrote a poem, and so that's in the very end, because this extra part was, for my good friend Riot Girl, you're the craziest partner I've ever had, literally. We started a riot, this crazy love and I, for real. The one that's, the book. We started and ended a lot of things: drunk nights, bleeding Nazis, smashed windows, orgasms. The ending of our relationship, the beginning of a new friendship, but you'll always be my Riot Girl. And so this is the Landback Tarot and the Oracle of Colonization, and I hope everybody thoroughly enjoys it as much as I do. And I will post the Kickstarter link everywhere, I promise, as soon as it's up and ready, and that will be soon.